everybody. Welcome to the Peak Season Podcast. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Luke, how is everything going today?
Hey, Tyler. Things are going great here. I am super excited. We have our first ever founder and CEO on this show. It is PC from Hospitable. PC, welcome to the show. We really appreciate it.
Hello, Luke and Tyler. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been watching your show a few times, if I'm honest, obviously, because there were mentions of Hospitable in previous episodes. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And I think there is a very big agenda on that you guys want to talk about.
Well, that is probably a byproduct of Hospitable advancing so fast and having so much new to talk about. I mean, there are things that are just happening day by day at Hospitable where it's newsworthy in the SDR space. And I know that we talked about this offline before, but I started with Hospitable. I left for about a year. I came back and it was like coming to totally new software, but at the same time, it felt like I was coming home. So kudos to you and your team. Like, I am a huge Hospitable fanboy, and I know Tyler is as well.
Yeah, I've been using it since the beginning of owning STRs, so I absolutely love it. I think I kind of nerded out a little bit too because I was a project manager before this and did a lot of sprint planning and Scrum Master and all of these things, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of Scrummy-ish, and doing the town halls, and they're really helpful, right? They help me grow, and I just appreciated the transparency that you guys provide always. And, saying, hey, this isn't where we want it to be, so we're going to pause for a little bit, right? So, yeah, kudos to you guys.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, it's interesting, like those town halls and the frequency in which they were initially set. We didn't realize we implemented Agile.
Yeah, you 100% were Agile.
and I ended up being a Scrum Master, which I can assure you is a very heavily political word to be using as Hospitable, and there will never be one. So, no, because that's basically part of this kind of... Anyway, I'm not going to start the podcast insulting your entire career, but yeah, it has been interesting to kind of see the implication of the town hall management. It's a lot less the case now on the development of the product. But you're right, there's been a lot of product push recently that still continues. Now we want to take a bit more opportunity to go in depth. That requires a bit more time rather than the frenetic pace that we had in 2025. But yeah, I think hopefully that means people that may have had a view of Hospitable a few years ago would basically not recognize the value that we now offer, which is probably at least one order of magnitude greater than it used to be, and very well positioned, especially around the competitors, including, I want to say, for property managers. We just had one competitor launching a new AI feature. We've had it for 2 years, and we've been iterating on that around their artificial intelligence, around inbox AI. And so that's really makes us feel very comfortable that we are moving at the right pace, which is very high in the tech industry, obviously, this day and age, but also that strategy is right, and we are backing a lot more development, a lot more investment toward the customers fundamentally, and with the developments that we continue to do. Like we could rest on our laurels, and there are a few companies that have made that choice. Not on my watch. If there's another founder and another CEO of Hospitable, they would probably be saying a very different language. But as long as I'm here steering the ship, it's probably going to be still about innovation and about what can we do to have a very different product than what the status quo is telling us should be.
Yeah, and kind of speaking about that and the status quo, one of the big things I know Luke is excited about is MCP. So why don't you talk a little bit about MCP and why Hospitable decided to kind of start that early in its infancy and release that out as early as you have compared to others.
Yeah, so just for everyone that's listening in and that is not familiar with it, an MCP is basically a way to interface between your AI agent, AI assistants with Hospitable's API. So it's just basically this kind of translator between the intention of what the AI agent is trying to do and Hospitable's API. So basically be able to retrieve the information that it needs completely independently. It used to, if you wanted to be developing on top of Hospitable's API up until I think maybe a year ago, you would really need to have an engineer. And even if there was a lot of prompting into it, there would be a lot of fighting. And you probably be able to build what you wanted. But it would have taken several weeks to basically create this kind of software or interface the way you want it. what an MCP server is offering to anyone as a technology is basically the way to talk in English and to be able to program any kind of things that you want to see in your own way. So the way it works is you connect the Hospitable MCP server with, let's say, your Cloud agent or your ChatGPT, including Cloud Code, and you basically then can ask it for doing tasks in English. So you can ask it question like, what was I don't know about the kind of incredible question you can ask, but basically you can look for all the reservation and find all the guests whose first name started with an R and included two vowels. I mean, it's just basically useless, of course, but we have customers that are finding things far more valuable. That's why, for example, right now we have Buildathon, a campaign that's basically is happening. So we want people to promote their usage of the MCP for how they found it valuable, and they can create their own customized software that is tailored to their needs, the way they want it. And I think it's really probably the new way the new paradigm that's going to be happening in software. This was definitely the first in the industry. I think another alternative product has followed us a few days ago. There really is no reason why that should not be the case. Fundamentally, it's a box on top of the existing API, so you can have also unofficial MCPs that are launching for alternatives, but the official MCP allows us to really monitor the usage, collect the feedback, and be able to have a greater motivation for developing these particular products. But it's been just yesterday, for example, I think we had API issues, and I think a lot of that was really tied to the volume. That was for a very short time. We increased our resources, etc. No problem. Basically, that means the usage of the API is growing far faster with the facilitation of an MCP, because simply it means the language to program your own software on top of Hospitable is English. And even if I have an accent, it can still work.
I love it.
I have been using the MCP for anything I can possibly think of, mainly with Claude Cowork. But I'm just curious, you guys probably have data on the back end that are you seeing like what the biggest use case is for it? Like what is the most common query or common set of instructions?
Yeah, we can find common queries. It doesn't really tell you what the usage, the intention is behind, unless there is a specific tool in the MCP server for example, for the agent to be submitting feedback about something that they try to do and could not achieve within the current API. So the reality is that we cannot quite see everything that's happening on the agent. And that's fine. But that you can expect that there's going to be getting the list of properties, getting the list of reservation, getting the calendar, updating a price, sending a message. All of those things that basically are core functions or property management software are obviously collecting quite a lot of traffic. So you can basically rebuild an inbox the way you want it on top of the Hospitable's API. So we don't really see what's on the other side. I got to say that's a very different way of doing product. We're a very product focused company. Now that basically means we need to rewire our brains a little bit. Like I think what's happening and what the other products are not doing on MCP right now is that fear of the loss of control. The PMS business is a very proprietary business where everything is working rather on a very tightly closed ecosystem of partnerships. And even the most open APIs, there are restrictions and constraints that are pretty heavy about what you do and what you can do, because the PMS obviously will have its own features and they're going to force you to use those rather than basically make it, I want to say, open source. We're testing how it works on the MCP, but I think we frankly like it because we are able to go deeper on what are the parts that no one else can do and no one else can possibly do better. And then let our users build on top of Hospitable. And I think a user that is fully integrated, all their processes the way they want it, is a very sticky user of Hospitable. And we have a strategy that basically is about platform, payments, and people that we have been following for the past, 3 to 4 years. That basically is very honest about what is down the road, the value proposition that we're offering customers. It should be state-of-the-art integrations and work that you can do to really allow you to build magic on top of it, we are building some magic. Our customers now can do it much more in a more affordable fashion and much faster fashion. Then it's about payments. You can vibe code your direct booking website. You probably should. What you cannot do is vibe code a shift of liability to another party for the tax compliance and the chargeback liability and defense. It doesn't come to mind, but that's actually a big blocker. And you can vibe code many applications, like for example, a business, a website for your own property management business, but you cannot generate invitations to or offers to opportunities to work with new owners or to work with new property managers unless you've reached maybe the scale that Hospitable has. And so that's really a far more honest value on what a PMS will be able to do for the next 10 years. I think right now software is dead. The value of it is going to zero. We're totally fine with it. You cannot come any faster.
Yeah. I love it.
That is really interesting. And you sort of hinted at some of the other things that Hospitable is getting into there, where you have this property manager marketplace and you're getting more into payment processing. Would you care to get a little bit more into that? And that's a really cool model that is what is making it sticky now, not just necessarily the software. So you've been able to open up the MCP and allow people to have more freedom without worry that they're going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, we do also those things because it feels great and it feels the right thing to do. But yeah, I mean, we've been building since 2021 our direct booking products. That is definitely having a twist, is that it's not, we realize the value is not so much about the website because everyone can do it. It's a lot more about basically the payment infrastructure that's very unique in the space. And so we decided to be a merchant of record, which is basically crazy. I think we're always on the verge of finding why no one else is doing it. But that does mean we are the payment processor for $60 million a year run rate from last year, at least on direct bookings. We add guest verification, we add damage protection with partners. We also work ourselves on the tax compliance. So we are registering in more and more and more, and many jurisdictions in the US for now to pay and remit the taxes ourselves. So we trying to approximate the experience of a great and amazing OTA, an amazing booking platform without the same fees. There's a ton more that basically we're doing on that. Like for example, the chargeback protection and chargeback defense that basically we're doing ourselves. There are also some kind of I want to say very simple things. If you are doing your own payment processing, and that's of course something that we include within the merchant of record product, you pay every time you have a cancellation, because you can have a $10,000 transaction, you're still going to pay $300 in payment processing fees. So you're worse off over every cancellation. This industry is unique because you have high value transactions and high cancellation rates. On non-refundable policies, which means you have a lot of chargebacks, and that gets you wiped out on a payment processor that's not fit for the deals. We basically are there, and we are able to say, yeah, you know what, you're not going to be worse off. We're not going to charge you a cancellation fee because you have canceled the guest, etc. So you are able to build the convenience we're able to build the convenience of a direct booking platform, while still preserving you have a direct relationship with the guest. It's your house. We operate as a facilitator. We don't intervene in the support to guests. And so that's basically our goal that we process is basically on the angle of compliance. I believe we do it better. It's on the angle of booking volume. We can do it better. And on basically securing with the guest on. And those are things that find value in scale. You could rebuild that yourself. I'm just telling you would have retail rates, and that would not be costing you the rates that Hospitable is charging you, because we are able to have severely orders of magnitude cheaper rates simply because of our scale. So that's basically, we pass it on to our host. So that's on the payment side. So is for direct. We're going to launch that on VRBO. I know we're going to be talking about that. We spend a lot of time talking about that these days. The other part you were alluding to, I think, was also the property manager marketplace. So with that, I don't share too much. I mean, it's a live product now. So it's actually, we are making intros every day now between owners that are using Hospitable, or sometimes even not using Hospitable, but are looking for an alternative to just automating everything themselves and want to partner with a property manager that is using Hospitable themselves. And they can see in transparency the metrics, the success, the performance of the listing, the attention to quality, the scale of their operation. And we think that's a good data set to basically be able to identify are successful property managers, not just in the abstract, but also in the perspective of the owner. I think the property manager market is not just about the numbers. It's also about the fit. It's about the match, the best relationships in this market, obviously over several years. And it's difficult for an owner to get a third party to be managing their home or their portfolio of properties. So we basically have an approach that's closer to dating. It's not because it basically has the best numbers that necessarily going to be a fit for you if you want to be hands-on, if you want to be hands-off, if you want to be investing money into the property, investing some time or not at all. And so we flag all of those criteria so that property managers can see an opportunity and are able to say whether basically it seems like a fit or it's not. And so that's again one of the things that we believe is going to be very interesting to see and develop over time, because we are unique in that we have customers that definitely are starting to host, may have hosting for 1, 2, 3 properties, and have been doing so successfully maybe 4 years. And the number one reason for a user to cancel is that they're selling their property. So it's a proxy for hosting fatigue or burnout, or they go with a long-term tenant, which is also hosting fatigue or burnout. So if we could keep those properties just a little bit longer and offer them an opportunity to partner with a property manager, well, maybe then in that case, they would be able to generate more revenue without necessarily having the time sink that goes with managing a short-term rental. So it's not for everybody, but I believe it seems to be resonating with quite a lot of owners, of course, with property managers as well. But so yeah, we're interesting to see how that develops. Curious.
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't signed up for it yet, but I'm definitely going to.
You're in.
I'm interested.
If you're that's the thing. When you launch a marketplace, you have 2 problems. You have the demand side and you have the supply side. So the demand side, we're working very aggressively on that, because it needs to be known that if you want to look for a property manager, now you can go through Hospitable, and we'll be facilitating the transaction, building the trust, having the transparency out there. But for all mogul customers, that basically is a plan where you have the owner statements, we have the owner payouts, so we really facilitate the actual transfer of funds in a way that matches the invoices and the owner statements that we generate, with all a plethora of products that basically also facilitating the management of owners, like an owner portal, etc. Then basically all mogul customers are basically now can be receiving opportunities, and so you're going to be receiving more alerts soon that basically you have received an opportunity, or maybe a host near you has received an opportunity, but you do not qualify, and here is why. So basically to demonstrate a bit more like the fact that there are people out there. You can grow your company, you can grow your property management business with Hospitable, and that's a very unique feature. Like you could love rule sets, you could love third-party integration, you could love all things, but I think if you can provide deal flow, that's pretty unique. If I can tell you that basically you can be on your couch, you receive an alert with a customer that has already connected their Airbnb account, that has already onboarded their properties, you have already all the data that to share, and you can make a decision. Like, for example, I could add value by listing on that other platform, etc. Then basically you have your work, I want to say, cut out for you, but that seems a lot more comfortable than the hunt of looking for owners and trying to reach out to them and showcasing the value, because those ones are people that are willing to commit to explore a property management company to be managing the properties, and they told you everything about them that we collected from them. About what's the best profile they're looking for.
So I think it's time to get into the elephant in the room, which is this VRBO integration. I know we want to spend a little chunk of time on that. So PC, how long have you guys been working on the VRBO integration, and what is it for somebody that is not up to speed on that, and what can we look forward to?
What I'm looking forward to is a book about VRBO. There will be a lot to say. We're approaching 10 years of Hospitable, so watch out. There may be something coming up. So what do you want me to say about VRBO specifically?
So I guess what is changing for a host? Or Tyler, do you have anything you think specifically? Because full disclosure, Tyler and I are very VRBO light right now. We're not big on VRBO because it's been clunky. It's hard to use. It doesn't provide a lot of value for us. But I think if we could eliminate the clunkiness, we might get back into where we're very big on VRBO.
Yeah. And I think that's the idea. I mean, if you are in North America, you should absolutely be listening on VRBO. We see tremendous success with hosts that are listed on more than one channel. And that's also obviously our job, I believe, as a channel manager and property management software, to help you distribute and abstract rather than basically having to manage several tabs. We've been talking with VRBO for years. I think the very first official contact that we had was in 2019, if I remember correctly. That's some time ago. We went through a literal pandemic in between. So we had been having conversations for a very long time to find how it works, etc. There were a lot of things and development that need to happen, and I think it took a bit of time on VRBO side, for example, to develop feature parity with other booking platforms, such as, for example, messaging APIs, etc. And we've been really aggressive in pursuing a VRBO integration in recent years. And finally, we had an opening, considering the scale that we have now reached on VRBO's portfolio, to basically finally be able to develop an official integration, so the state-of-the-art integration that allows Hospitable to operate as a source of truth. Just to double click on this, when it means source of truth, it doesn't mean that we're pushing dates pushing availabilities and rates over on VRBO. That part it's trivial, but actually it's VRBO that's checking Hospitable if those dates are actually available and what is the rate. So basically we have real-time availability and rates. So we've been developing this integration since I believe July, really. Some people didn't go on vacation the way that they wanted because we really wanted to develop this aggressively. It took a bit of time to basically come across the challenges of working on that specific integration, as we also are piloting the newest set of APIs with VRBO. So that means that we expect to have a greater let's say less friction on the ability to connect a VRBO account, connect listings for all types. So for example, other integrations are sending an email daily to escalate errors. And one of the things that we are able to have is basically having those errors directly in real time so that we can work those out. We can communicate to users in real time, not having to wait for a 24-hour feedback loop that as a tech company, obviously we would not like. So there is this part. We're probably the last proper team at Autonomous Software to be integrating with VRBO. I think in retrospect, that may have given VRBO a little bit of time to ramp up their product. That also means we got also a lot of chance to observe what is working and what is not working with the current scope, the current integrations with alternative products. And one of the things that really is even within the elephant in the room, there's a second elephant in the room, which is basically who is processing those transactions. VRBO is committed in the future, and I could not share more, to retake their payment processing capabilities. So they want to own the credit card, they want to charge the guest, they want to charge the host. And I think that's a great opportunity for VRBO, of course. But in the meantime, those API integrated hosts basically have to be the merchant of record themselves. And there's really a historic for VRBO. It's really their entire history has been about we can distribute, you do all the back office function, including payment. And that's other like Booking.com, although it's a bit of a similar story, and Airbnb has basically completely erased from the common mind. So we have decided, because of that experience that we had with our merchant of record product on Direct, that basically we are going to be taking responsibility for all of those transactions. So what it means is that we are going to be processing the transactions from the guest. We are going to be remitting taxes as much as we can. And I got to say, the fact that we now can say we are a payment facilitator for VRBO transaction is very much accelerating our ability to register with more jurisdictions, including local one. And that means also, protecting against chargebacks and chargeback defense, which is also obviously a risk every time that you go on a payment processing term. And so the idea is, again, to make it as easy as possible, frictionless, to connect your VRBO account, to manage it within Hospitable, but also not have the burden and manage all those things that now are supposed to be your responsibility, that you now can shift to Hospitable. And we have greater resources, I believe, to be able to do that job right. We've already built it. Like, we could process 100 million extra or 300 million extra that we would not notice. Okay. We have the processes that are scalable. They've been tested. They've been operated for years. So we can say that with a great deal of confidence that we're actually pretty much looking forward to that for VRBO. So that's basically the kind of architecture of this integration. And so now we're rolling it out. So if you go to Hospitable, I can tell you that because it's almost a customer support call. You can go to your Hospitable dashboard, and now you will have a bit of a link at the top to join the VRBO waitlist. So it will get you through a bit of a survey, understanding all your data, and ask you all sorts of questions so that you also are educated about what's going to change with the VRBO integration. And then we define basically priorities and different waves of onboarding for users as we grow more and more confident and are able to answer the needs being increasing complexities. That's there is a geographic boundary. So we start first with the US. Later, it will come to the UK and Australia. We would love to have a rest of the world product, but there's also going to be Stripe coming later. I believe that if you are operating, owning your own the properties you're operating, it's fantastic. It's very streamlined. But if you're managing properties for others, there are challenges because you now we need to pay your fees via a credit card. That's only one credit card per account. So we have a few tricks up our sleeve that we want to have some time to think about to see how we can optimize this, because I think there are smarter solutions. And there are obviously all sorts of consideration to have. But it's been something that we've tested for the entire month of March, for the entire month of April, because we're recording this on 22nd. And we've seen great success now. There's a lot of stability where the number of bookings is really steadily increasing, the number of payments processed is steadily increasing. And again, nobody in our team notices except basically that this is fantastic for customers to see how it actually flies now peacefully and very well.
Very good.
Well, I'll be putting my name on that list as soon as we get done with this call.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Please do. We're still talking internally about this very specific parameters, so I'm not gonna say anything, but there's gonna be more attention on giving ourselves a little bit of time in development for the most hairy situation. And if there is something that if we can give access earlier, we will definitely do when we see that we're confident for that case.
So PC, one of the things that I think was recently released was the Essentials plan. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it because, again, I'm a huge fan of Hospitable, been using it forever. And I think the big thing for me is I'm a simple man in a lot of things. And the biggest thing for me was the ability to automate my communications, right? And do it very, very easily. The tutorials and the guides that the Hospitable provides is very user-friendly. So even if you didn't know how to use short codes or how to do upsells or things like that, it's very easy to walk through that with what Hospitable provides. But maybe for some of our listeners, because they hear us talk about Hospitable pretty much every podcast episode, maybe you can just expand on what Essentials is, and why do you see the value in providing that plan to new hosts?
Yeah. I don't think I will shut up about it. So you have to keep me a bit on a leash. So we're a software as a service business. The way the business model is working, just like many other alternatives, that you charge across different plans based on the number of properties. So we have the Host plan, Pro plan, and Mogul plan. Mogul being very specifically catered for property managers, Pro plan for state-of-the-art automation, and Host basically for hosts that have one or two properties on a more subsidized and more affordable feature and plan already. There've been a lot of thoughts basically about the Essentials plan for a few years. For a few years, really. The idea is that the property management software doesn't have a good enough adoption in the industry. Like there were numbers that were shared by Jamie Lane, the chief economist at RDNA, saying that basically it's 35% across the United States, which is obviously the most technologically friendly market in the world. Only 35% of properties are are PMS connected. And so this industry is having a bad vibe. I hear that quite a few times. So does ERPs, CRM, and very complex products that have basically almost an 80, 75% adoption rate. So it's really unique for complex, deep software, business software, that basically the PMS is as such a low adoption, and including property managers that are, because they are not connected to a property management software, are just working off one channel. Makes me think, frankly, if you are working with a property manager that just work on one channel, you probably should revisit this relationship. Because the property manager should be working a lot more to generate more revenues, because paying 20% for someone that is already listing on the leading platform is not great. So that basically is one goal. But so I believe as an industry, we need to communicate that it's expected that you're going to be working with the property management software. That it's great, it's okay, it's the best way to generate revenue. We really mean that. Like our job is to ensure that you're listed on more platforms so you can market on more channels. A business that markets on more channels is going to grow more, is going to have more revenue. You're going to have more eyeballs looking at their listings. You're going to have more chance of getting booked, maybe even at a higher rate. So we also have the dynamic pricing enabled. You're always going to need to have an early check-in. You're always going to have a late checkout. Even that, we can help you do this, or having flowers or something extras or groceries being done on the day of the day of check-in. You're still going to have cleaners to pay. Like, sure, that works. That may work on one channel because they build some features, but it doesn't work on the other. So everything breaks the moment you start doing that. So we actually make it easier than working on one channel. Really, I believe that, rather than basically being dependent on one. But there is still this thing. There's still this price that gets in the way. Like, you cannot communicate to industry that the normal is to be integrated with the property management software and say, go ahead, give me the money. Frankly, no. This is an urgent situation. Every other industry is talking about AI left and right. And here we started this podcast, great, very fantastically, but we talk about MCP. MCP is an old thing. MCP is basically a 2-year-old technology, and we're here talking about it being the first one. I'm incredibly disappointed into the industry that somehow a small company of 50 people could come across as being the best innovators. So there is really a strong messaging problem. And we need to say, no, start with zero. Start with $0. Even it's actually not enough. It's not just a free plan. It's less than free. We actively will seek opportunities to pay you money. So you want to have Hospitable receiving money or sending you money because, for example, the first step that you're going to go on the onboarding is basically how to get paid whenever you have an upsell, whenever you have that early check-in, late checkout. We're going to pay you. We're going to give you cash back whenever there's someone that books a trip insurance on you. You have a check-in portal that allows your guests to buy trip insurance and pay you money if you are just dependent on that one thing? No, you don't. And it doesn't matter. Like, basically, it's a free product. And then on top of that, like, you're going to pay your cleaners. It's going to cost you $5 a month, maybe, if you want to do that. That's actually, no, it's free. It's free on the first burn. So it doesn't even cost you money. It just basically, maybe it's limited to a number of properties. Like, after all, you could appreciate maybe one. Oh, no, not even that. We're not going to introduce like some other stars and other caveats and stuff like that. You could be operating on 100 properties right now without a channel manager, without a property management software. Go to Hospitable, sign up to Essentials, connect your account, and never pay us a recurring fee ever. So it's uncapped. Like, you could really go with as many properties as you can. There are some restrictions. Okay, we're not completely suicidal, but there are some restrictions. So obviously, whenever there is a feature that has a take rate, it's going to be a little bit more on the Essentials plan. There are some things that you cannot do, like, for example, like messaging. Messaging is open, messaging is okay, but you cannot do quite everything that you would like. And we're going to drive more traffic towards the guest portal, because that's where you're going to be generating revenue. That's where we are going to be generating some revenue as well. And I think that's a much better strategy for the industry to follow, rather than basically charging $70 per property. Like, you communicate to everyone that basically, damn, it's going to be very expensive to start. It's going to be very expensive to scale. Life seems good whenever you're on a PMS or not, but now you don't even have the experience for yourself. Now we give you a chance to basically, like, no, the bar is just lower. It's not even about the fact that you get pay a fee. It's about the fact that you can generate more ancillary income. I never understood a lot of sales pitches in the industry about the fact that we help you generate more income. Here is the invoice to get that opportunity.
Right.
Well, if you generate that much money, maybe you should make that more transactional, rather than basically charging me a fee no matter what. So we're entirely performance-based, and that resonates very well with everything that we'll be talking about. So if we communicate well enough to the industry that it's okay to be using a property management software, which is the same level of integration with Airbnb, so Premier, Preferred Plus on Airbnb, Premier Plus on Booking.com, and of course, a VRBO integrated partner. So it's the same stuff that everyone else is using. It's a true PMS, but basically now we're able to say, hey, if you are starting a host and you wanted to start by automating, but now you realize you want to go with a property management company, like, we can make those introductions for you and make that work no matter what. So I think that's probably the way we can have a few extra % of adoption in the industry. But it's gonna have to happen. Like, someone is gonna have to take this market, because AI is about to change every other industry. And on short-term rentals, it really feels like we're banging two stones together and trying to call that progress. Yeah.
So PC, we talked about the Essentials plan. We talked about VRBO. We talked about the MCP. What haven't we talked about that is in the front of your mind right now?
We talked about the property management marketplace too, which is basically the big release of last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still very much a lot coming up at Hospitable, things that were not necessarily expected. So I'm really curious how the next town hall is going to go. So it's going to be at the end of April. I feel like I want to open my calendar and have that on the record. But yeah, that's going to be the 29th of April. I think we have a subject that no one is particularly expecting us to be talking about, but there you go. That's what you get to be.
I like that.
When you're at Hospitable, it's not very sexy. Okay, I got to be very honest. It's not going to be very sexy, but it's this kind of thing that you have to do anyway. So, is there a more hospitable way of doing those things? And I think we have a lot of feature development, a lot of company developments coming up as well that are also very, very important. Like we got to build a company in the same process. But yeah, we're going nowhere, and we are very happy to be continuing to support our customers to achieve their goals. We're seeing great traction over for Q1 and the beginning of the second quarter. So it's really motivating to be in this space in this industry.
Yeah, no, it really is. And like I said, just thank you for always being innovative with, your team and your company and pushing the needle and, thinking of there's a better way to do it. And I liked what you said. There's a more hospitable way to do it. I love that. That's, again, the reason why I'm here, why I have been, and why I continue to be a loyal fan.
Thank you so very much, Tyler. Don't know what to say. I'm blushing.
Yeah, for anybody on the fence, I can say with 100% certainty that Hospitable is the one software in my tech stack that is non-negotiable at this point. There's not even a thought of taking it away. I am a customer for as long as I'm in the industry. So yeah, we really appreciate it, PC. So obviously hospitable.com if somebody wants to find out more about Hospitable, but where can they follow along with you, or is there any place you'd want to point our listeners to learn more?
Yeah, to learn more, that's going to be the direct hospitable.com website. I think we're investing a lot to make sure that we are documenting and explaining all the features that we do. Although at the end of the day, the vision is basically we want to be the most innovative product that basically answers the needs of our customers better, and basically not being limited by what feels right. That sounds weird when I'm saying that, but basically not looking at everyone else, what everyone else is doing as a status quo, and basically trying to challenge that proposition overall. If people want to reach out to me, they can send me an email directly to pc@hospitable.com. Now, I never know if I'm saying the name of my own company right. Luke, can you repeat the email?
pc@hospitable.com. And there is also a link in the comments. Yeah, link in the comments if anybody wants to get a free trial. We would appreciate you using our referral code. And we'll go ahead and close it out. Tyler, anything else?
No, thanks again, PC. Appreciate your time and look forward to hearing more innovative things that are coming about.
Thank you so very much. It was a pleasure
Take care, everyone.
being with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.